Hey and hello, welcome back to Afternoon Literature. So I thought today that I would take you through some of my thinking to do with books on my shelves. Now I have quite a few unread books, in excess of 300, and I am really trying to get that number down. However, for various reasons, some of the books on my shelves are massively intimidating. Books that I will find really difficult to actually just pick up and read. Today's video is going to go through a few of my most intimidating reads. So there are a variety of reasons why a read might be intimidating. Sometimes it's the length of the book, sometimes it's the content that you know that's going to be there, and sometimes it's just that it's been there for such a long time that it's been built up in your head so much. The books I have on my list today are a mixture of those things. Some of them range from the fact that even when I bought them, I knew they were going to be a bit intimidating for me, but I wanted to try them anyway. And others, it's just that I should have read them by now. I'm going to start off my list with one of my most intimidating reads, and that is Soul Mountain by Gao Xingjian. Now, I think I've said that correctly. Gao Xingjian is a Nobel Prize winner for literature, and I have read parts of the book, The Case for Literature, that he makes, which is all about why literature is important in the world and why free speech is a massive important right that people have. Soul Mountain is the novel that he won the Nobel Prize for. He was one of the first Chinese winners to ever win the Nobel Prize, and it was really revolutionary at the time. So Soul Mountain has been translated into different languages, so what I would be reading obviously is the translation, and this is all about a part autobiographical journey he makes to a mountain, which is the Soul Mountain, and this is after being, I believe it's falsely diagnosed with lung cancer. And this is going to be a reflection on the journey itself and the journey that is the life that he's lived. I really love reading literature in translation. I don't speak any other languages, so that's the only way I can consume it. But reading literature from other cultures, especially Asian cultures, has always been something that I found really interesting and intriguing. So it's been a little while since I've read novels of this style, but I tend to find that when I read from Asian cultures and cultures of my own, the writing tends to have a very poetic and lyrical style to it. So it's something I'm really looking forward to. However, I do find it difficult to read prize winners, and they are very intimidating to me. I know this is going to be a very serious novel, and I know it's going to be something that I'm really unfamiliar with. So that in itself is a little bit scary. However, it's something I'm very intrigued to read. I love seeing the landscape and the snapshots of a completely different world and a completely different place. And I also love seeing the philosophical nature that you tend to find within these novels. A philosophy that is different from our own, which is different from a very westernized view of life and death, and so I'm very interested to get to this. It's been on my list for quite a long time, but it is something that I really do need to read. The second book on my intimidating reads is actually one that is only on here because Wayne has picked it up, and that is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaivosky. So I don't really read sci-fi, and that is why this is an intimidating read. I have been reading more sci-fi lately, which has been great. I've picked up some YA sci-fi, I've picked up some like thrillery type sci-fi, and I'm going to read one this month which is a very character-driven type of sci-fi, but this is different. This is all about a dying Earth and different planets and colonization and things I don't really read about. It's also a very big book, and the writing style is, well, a little bit more scary to me than I would usually go for. A bit more traditional sci-fi versus like YA or thriller sci-fi. But I really want to branch out and read more in the genre, and I really want to know more about those type of books. Missing an entire genre because I'm a bit like, do I really like it? Means I miss out on so much, and so I'm not willing to really do it anymore. Wayne picked these up because he was really interested in them. It's a little series by Adrian Tchaivosky, and I've decided that I'm putting this on my list. It is something I want to read, even if it's a little bit intimidating. Now, whether I carry on with the series or not will fully depend on whether this immerses me. So we will see, but I'm looking forward to giving this a go. The third book on my intimidating reads list is The Tenants of Wildfell Hall by Bronte. So the reason this is intimidating is twofold. One, it is a classic, and classics take longer for me to get into and read. It's also a very old classic versus like a modern classic, which I find much easier to get into and enjoy. The writing style, therefore, will be quite different than what I'm used to now. It's going to be something a little bit more odd for me, and I haven't really read and immersed myself in classics since leaving university, especially because my master's degree focuses on popular literature, and a lot more of that was modern stuff. So it's been a while. It was easier to read when I was at school. The second reason that this intimidates me is because Wuthering Heights is my favourite book. And because I love Wuthering Heights so much, I am really scared that I'm going to hate Bronte, or maybe that it won't live up to Wuthering Heights, or I don't know. Maybe I'll like it more, and that's scary in itself. I've read Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, but I have not yet read Violette or The Professor, and I know I should be getting to those, but I wanted to read one by Anne first, so that I've read one by each of the sisters. This should have been read so long ago, but I'm scared. And that's why it's an intimidating read. Okay, I have 3 intimidating reads left, so the next one I'm going to go to is another genre one, and that is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. The first book in the Wheel of Time series is called The Eye at the End of the World, and that is the one that I'm holding up here. You can see at some point I have started it and given it a go. This book is battered and bruised, and that is because I was so eager to read it. The Wheel of Time series is kind of a very traditional fantasy, this big epic. It's full of age-old mystery and intrigue. It's very political, and the opening to The Eye of the World just captivated me so much, and then I didn't carry on reading it. Now this is I think a mass market paperback style version. There are like 800 pages in this first one alone, and this is a very long series. In fact, Robert Jordan unfortunately passed away before he finished it, and it has been continued by Brandon Sanderson. I started my reading of Brandon Sanderson this year, and I've been really enjoying him, and I really love epic fantasy series. Also, as far as I'm aware, this is going to be made into a TV show, so I am really eager and desperate to get round to reading this series, but this series is so long, and I would show you more of the books if I had them, but I only purchased the first one as I gave it a chance. Yeah, the reason this is intimidating, I know it's going to be an epic time sink, one that I will hopefully massively enjoy, but this is a giant series for me to catch up on. I did it with Game of Thrones though, so I'm really excited about doing it with this, and I really liked the beginning. I know some people think some of these books are really slow, and I've been watching Murphy Napier read through this series, but she's actually managed to get through it in a very, very fast time, and I'm very eager. I love slow-paced fantasy novels. I love character-driven and political fantasy novels, so hopefully I will adore this book when I get to it, which will be soon, I promise. Okay, the 5th book on my intimidating read list is Zadie Smith's White Teeth. Now, White Teeth is a novel that follows, I think it's 3 generations of immigrants, and it looks at their culture, their relationships and their language as they live in, I think it's in Britain in the 1970s. I don't know too much more about White Teeth. All I know is that this is a novel that is going to look at Britain, colonialism, the relationship between these generations and the British society and the British Empire, and also the relationship between themselves and their family. Zadie Smith, I think, wrote this in 2000. Yeah, I think it was published then, and it won an award. And this is reflective of cultural experiences that Zadie Smith had. And I think it's incredibly topical at the moment. Everyone's talking about Black Lives Matter. It's not something that we should be talking about for a moment. This is something that should be well known and that we should talk about for a long time. When I was in university, I studied Brick Lane by Monica Raleigh, and I have a feeling White Teeth is going to be very, very much like that. And I think it's important that we remember that these books are out there. It's not a new thing. The relationship between Britain and the Empire as well is incredibly important. We don't really learn about it much in school. So sometimes reading about it, reading about novels that really were based at those times, that are filled with people's actual experiences, are vitally important, especially own voices novels. However, I find it very difficult to read contemporary adult novels, especially ones that are a bit more literary. I don't read them as often. Usually when I do invest myself in reading one, I massively enjoy it. It's just not what I gravitate towards. So I picked this up a couple of years back in a charity shop. I've had friends who've read it and been like, you've got to pick it up, you're going to love it and enjoy it. And I've not gone anywhere near it yet because I know it's so serious and it's going to be a lot to get my head round. And yeah, it's a job, but I'm sure I'm going to love and enjoy it when I do, and that it's going to be worth every bit of time that I spent doing that. So I'm hoping to get to this one very, very soon. Okay, so usually these lists are like top 5 and so on, but there is one more intimidating read that I feel like I should share with you. And this one is one that I know has been on so many people's lists of intimidating reads. In fact, whatever possessed me to pick it up, I just do not know. It is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. So this follows the life of 4 I think they are friends from university as they start to grow up and get older. Yes, so they make their way to New York. They were 4 friends from a college in Massachusetts. A Little Life basically focuses on one of the friends in particular. I believe his name's Jude, and follows through his life as he comes to middle age, as he deals with traumas from his past and how that affects his life as they like now, and how that affects the relationship and friendships around them. I have heard amazing things about this book. Everyone who has taken the time to read it has really, really loved it, and it's been incredibly moving. But I've also heard that there's some really heartbreaking things in this, and that it is a novel that you need to know going into could really hurt, could really be upsetting. I don't know much more about it, and I don't feel like I need to. I absolutely love Angels in America, and I absolutely loved Rent and things like that, and they are snapshots of these people's lives in New York, dealing and coping with some very difficult things. And so that's why when I saw A Little Life on everyone's reading list, I decided I needed to pick it up. But it's chunky, it's scary, everyone's intimidated by this book, and so am I. I'm hoping to read it soon though. Okay, so they are my 6 intimidating reads that are from my immediate bookshelf. There are plenty of reasons why people might be intimidated by them, and there are certainly other books that I could have picked for that. Books that I found longer, other classics that worry me in terms of picking them up, or non-fiction books that I know are dense and hard to get to. However, the reason I've picked these 6 to share with you today is because on my TBR tokens game, I have an intimidating reads square, and if that square comes up, I intend to pick from one of these 6 books to read for that prompt. The other reason is because I want to remind myself of the books that I'm really eager to get to, but I know I will always put off. So I'm going to use this video as a little reminder and prompt to myself. Whether or not it comes up on TBR tokens, I need to make it a mission to try and pick up these books this year and get them read. That's all from me today. This is my intimidating reads video. If you have read any of these books and you want to tell me to read them sooner, give me some advice about them or anything like that, I would absolutely love to hear from you in the comments. If you like this video, please like it, and if you want to see more like this, then subscribe to my channel. I'm Cassie and you've been watching Afternoon Literature. Have a great reading week.